Good afternoon, and thanks so much for taking part in our first and hopefully last Town Hall meeting of the 2001-2002 school year. I know we did a few last year, and fortunately, or unfortunately, we have gotten pretty good at this, and I suspect what we talk about tonight will be the plan for the year. Certainly if things change, we will do another, and as always, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call me. I purposely waited for tonight and, as you know, canceled last week in hopes that we would have all the information necessary to share our opening day plan. I think I do, and I hope we will not have to change the rules, and what I share tonight will be our plan for the year. As I did last year, I will do my best, and I hope I am able to answer all of your questions tonight. Quite a few people have sent them in ahead of time, but feel free to ask any questions that you have. You can type your question into the box on the right-hand side at the bottom of your screen. So now what everybody's been waiting for, what is our opening day plan? After speaking with the board, we have the following guidelines in place. We will mask on the bus. The good news is we do not have to sit one to a seat this year. Busing will go back to pre-COVID, where we will be picking up village students. A huge thank you goes out to our parents who drove last year. That's why we were able to come 5 days a week with all of our kids when others were not. We will also mask in the halls and when moving in the classroom. We will allow our students to remove their masks when they are sitting in class, provided they are socially distanced. So I'm going to start with the questions that were sent in. There were a lot of questions that were similar. So if I don't address your question exactly, that's why. And again, please don't hesitate to call if you have any questions or concerns. So question number one, and I think this is the big one with everyone, does my child have to wear a mask? And as I mentioned, all students will need to have face coverings while in school, on the bus, entering school, in the halls, anytime they're moving in the classroom, and anytime social distancing cannot be maintained. You may remove your mask when eating, drinking, singing, or playing a wind instrument. And again, most of our classes were able to socially distance in, so when you're sitting in your seat, you will be able to remove your mask. What happens if a student refuses to wear a mask? Because it's required by the Department of Health, we will treat it as we do any kind of insubordination, and we will follow our school's code of conduct. Next question, does my child need to have their temperature taken daily? No. The guidance this year does not require temperature checking or health screening before each day. Again this year, we are asking you to keep your children home even if they have the slightest signs of illness. The old days of tough it up and go to school are over, at least for a while. Next question, can we drop students off prior to 8 a.m.? Unfortunately, we can't do that again this year. We will have our staff at the doors checking for masks, so everybody needs to enter the building at 8 o'clock or after being in class by 8:07. So again, please make sure that your child has a mask every day when they come to school. I know it worked very well for most of last year. Towards the end, some kids were walking in every day asking for a mask. We don't mind giving out masks, but last year we gave out a lot. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, with the supply chain now, not just for masks, but pretty much for everything, we don't want to have to run out of masks and not have enough to give out and then not be able to come to school. So please make sure your children have a mask every day when they come. Next is, what if a student shows signs of COVID? We'll do the same thing we did last year. They'll be sent to our isolation room and a parent will come and pick them up. Next, what if a student or staff member tests positive for COVID? Same as last year again, public health will notify us. They will quarantine the individual and begin contact tracing. Presently, contact tracing will be anyone within 6 feet of the positive person for more than 10 minutes. All of those decisions will be made by Lewis County Public Health. Our schools require to provide random COVID testing to staff and students. Random testing will not be required for our students or staff at this point. There is talk now from the governor that they are going to require vaccinations for public school employees and potentially anybody 12 or over. That has not been decided yet, and at this point we're just going to do what we did last year, and we won't be random testing. What is the plan for busing? Again, as I mentioned before, we're going back to pre-COVID. We will be picking up village students. You will be getting a Parent Square message explaining that. That may have even come out this afternoon, how that's going to be handled and where we're picking people up. Will remote learning be available for students this year? No. We are having everybody in school receiving instruction here. If someone is quarantined by public health, we may offer remote instruction for them depending on the length of the quarantine. Will we still have 4-H after school? Yes, that is still in the plans. They've been here all week preparing for that. Will elementary students have gym class and specials? Yes, that will happen this year. Last year, much of the specials, except for PE, pretty much everything was done in the classrooms. This year, the kids will go to the art room, the music room, the library, and the gym. Will students have recess? Yes. This year, we're going to do it a little bit different. Last year, we had a recess monitor that took the kids outside. This year, the classroom teachers will be taking their own classes out. Will there be sports this year? Yes. In fact, we're having a scrimmage on the soccer field as we're broadcasting right now. This fall, we have modified JV and varsity soccer for both girls and boys. And actually, this is the first time we've had JV soccer in quite some time. That's exciting. We do not have a girls' tennis team this year. It has nothing to do with COVID. It has to do with our lack of numbers for tennis. And will the spectators be allowed at games this fall? Presently, the guidance for outside is no mask. So we will have anybody that wants to come can come. Unmasked is fine. We will communicate the guidance for winter sports when we get to that, and I suspect that will probably be a little different. The CDC has really talked a lot of, they make indoor and outdoor very different. So we'll see what happens this winter with that. Will middle schoolers have to change clothes for gym? Yes, we plan to use the locker rooms for 6-12 education this year. Physical education this year. We will not be using hall lockers again, though. Potentially the 5th graders may. The 5th graders will be moved down where they were last year, and that last section of 5th grade closest to the lockers may be using them. Unfortunately, that room was not set up for elementary, so it doesn't have the cubbies inside the rooms, so we'll probably be using lockers for that. Are school supplies being given out by the school this year? Yes. Actually, the schools looked like a Walmart for the past few weeks. I've never seen so many crayons and markers in my life. So yes, those are now in the hands of each teacher, and they will be distributing those at the beginning of the school year. Will older kids be able to walk younger family members to their elementary classes like we did last year? Yep, that will absolutely happen again. Of course, that's happening in the hall, so everybody will have to be masked when we do that. Is the cafeteria going to be used for lunch this year? Yes. As you know, last year we ate in our classrooms. We will be using the cafeteria this year. Because of numbers, we've actually had to put tables into the little gym. So the custodians will set up tables around 11 o'clock. We'll use the gym for PE and not have any PE classes in that gym during lunch period. We'll set tables up. There's enough room for about 60 kids to sit in there and eat, but most of the kids will be in the cafeteria. Will middle schoolers be allowed to go to each individual class different than last year where they had to stay and the teachers rotated? And the answer to that is yes. The kids will be moving in the middle school just like they did prior to COVID. And I think this is our last question. Will 3-year-olds have to wear masks? So the guidance is pretty specific and says anybody 2 years or older must mask when inside when they cannot socially distance. Often in the guidance, we do see the term when practical. So this is an opportunity to use the when practical. I'm convinced that it's not practical to think a 3-year-old, first of all, knows how to distance, and second of all, can keep their mask on. So to answer that question, we're going to leave it up to the teacher to decide what is practical in their class and what is not practical in their class. So that is the end of all of the questions that were sent in. I'm going to ask Tony now if there's any Additional questions?
At the moment, we just have the one question, Mr. Connell, and it says, are there assigned seats on the buses again this year?
There will be assigned seats on the buses, and that's strictly for contact tracing purposes. If we have a positive case, we need to know who was sitting, either next to, behind, or ahead of. So yes, there will.
That's all we have.
Okay, I'll carry that a little further. Will we have assigned seats in the cafeteria? Yes, same reason. It's if we let kids sit where they want to sit, and for instance, the fifth graders come down, and everybody sits in a different seat every day, and then I get a call from public health that says, Johnny tested positive. He's been positive for 3 days, and he's sat next to 4 different people in that time. Then we're going to be quarantining probably half of that class rather than just the person that he's next to and across from. So we'll still be doing a lot of assigned seating, just strictly because it makes things much simpler for contact tracing, and it doesn't require us to quarantine as many students if we have a positive case.
Mr. Connell, can you clarify whether or not students need masks outside the building?
We will not mask outside. But when they enter the building, they need to have them on, and in the halls again, and in class if they can't socially distance.
Will there be a late bus this year?
There will. We will have a late bus. I'm pretty sure we're going to have 2. So we'll be transporting our 4-H students and our student athletes.
Well, Mr. Connell, that is all of the questions in the chat box that we have so far. So
wow,
yeah,
that was easy.
Was.
So I'll finish with saying that I know there's a lot of talk in the media. There's people that don't want a mask, people that absolutely want a mask. I feel what we're doing is really safe for our kids. Last year we had 0 spread in the school, and we're basically following the exact same rules as we followed last year. And again, things can change. Please be patient. We never know. If we happen to have a spread, then we will adjust. And if we keep going without spread, we may relax. We'll see how things go. But right now, our goal is to get everybody back in the building 5 days a week. I think we've made some changes that were positive. Eating in the cafeteria, I think, is important for kids. I know it's important for their teachers. That was hard on the teachers last year. They were in the classroom with their kids for 7.5 hours. So it gives them an opportunity, too, to get out, have lunch on their own, use the restroom if they have to. So I think we've made some positive changes, but at the same time, I think we're keeping kids really safe.
Mr. Connell, we've got a couple more rolling in.
Excellent.
So the first one asks, will there be designated drop-offs in the morning?
So we're going to follow the same pattern that we followed last year. All 6 through 12 students will be dropped off in the front of the building by the district office. And the K2, I think, I don't want to get it wrong. Same as last year. I know we drop off in 3 places, and I know the pre-K and maybe K drop off there, and then in the back 2-5, I believe, or K1 on one side. Anyway, wherever it was last year, it'll be the same.
Mr. Connell, will there be hand sanitizer around the school for kids
Yes.
to have the opportunity to sanitize?
We'll be doing the same again as last year, the same type of sanitizing that we did last year.
Our last question that we have so far is about testing positive and also being quarantined and contact tracing. So if a staff member were to test positive, will they be quarantined?
A staff member?
Correct.
If they are vaccinated, they will not be quarantined.
Great.
If they are not vaccinated, they will be, yes.
Okay, very good. Restroom rules. Last year we had a cutoff at 2 people tops in each restroom. Is that still
That
good?
will still be, yes, because again, we want to be able to socially distance, and because of the size of our bathrooms, really the only way we can with 2 sinks is to be able to socially distance, is to have 2 at a time.
That's all we've got so far, Mr. Connell.
All right. Well, again, I thank you for taking part tonight. Again, hopefully we will not have to have another one of these, but if we do, we will certainly have it, and we will field all of your questions. And I'll say one more time, please do not hesitate to call. I'd be happy to talk to anyone. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And glad and really excited to see everybody in school on the 7th of September. Have a great evening.